Hello everybody, PJ here. Today I am fitting a dash cam to a 2018 Ford Fiesta. Now, if you're going to be fitting a dash cam to one of these vehicles, you would need, well, hopefully, just this lot in front of me, or pretty much this lot. So useful tools to have. A multimeter, obviously for testing the voltage in your fuse box, because that's where we're going to be wiring it to. Don't worry, it's not that complicated. If you haven't got a multimeter, one of the little test probes with a light in the end of it. It looks like a screwdriver, you touch it on a circuit and it illuminates. Either one will do fine. 3 or 4 cable ties, electrical tape, wire snips, long nose pliers, and probably the most important thing, some form of plastic leverage tool. So we don't lever any trim off using a metal screwdriver. Metal screwdriver will 100% damage the trim of the vehicle and make a mess. We don't want that, it needs to look factory fitted. This is a Bojo tool. You can get various brands of these things. They're available off eBay, Amazon for about £1 a pack. So well worth your while. Order these before you even attempt it, or use something other plastic leverage tool. Doesn't have to be one of these, anything will do. Next up, the actual kit themselves. So with a lot of cameras you can buy a fitting kit, or you can buy a universal fitting kit. Ideal thing to have, saves you trying to faff around looking for bits and bobs, and they're a very cheap thing to buy. This one's an X-base one, there's an X-base camera going in, but it's actually universal. It pretty much works most cameras with a mini USB plug. Make sure to check your plug, because there is mini USB, micro USB, and some of them use like a round one as well. Black view are a bit different, etc. So check first, but fitting kit, important. In the fitting kit you will get a replacement power cable. Like I said, this one's mini USB, and the micro USBs are a lot thinner. Okay. On the end of this we have a simple plus and minus, obviously red and black, already bullet connected for you. Black wire there to earth to the chassis of the vehicle, which is a very easy thing to do. I'll show you that one shortly. You get 2 fuse spurs. Now, fuse spurs are basically like a jumper socket for your fuse box. So in other words, you'd pull a fuse out your fuse box, an accessory position fuse may I add, that goes on and off with the ignition. So you pull it out, shove the fuse that you pull out of your fuse box into the spare slot, and shove this in your fuse box. So in other words, it makes one fuse socket into 2. A bit like the 4-way mains adapters you use at home, where you plug it in and then you've got 4 sockets. You'll have a 2 or a 3 amp fuse in there for your camera, and then your other fuse will be whatever one you've pulled out of your fuse box. Okay, again, bullet connected on the end, ready to go on there. Now if like this kit, you get 2 fuses. For the Fiesta you'll use the mini blade fuse, this one. These older large ones are only now really used on a very few Mercedeses and a lot of commercial vehicles, so we're not going to need that, that can go. Last of all, you get a ferrite filter, and this is to stop interference, or try and stop interference with your DAB radio. Now it pops open, there's little clips there as you can see, hinges on the rear, so basically it opens out and it's to go on your power cable, which I will also show you. Okay, I do say try and stop DAB interference. Some cars, no matter what you do, the cameras interfere and you lose your DAB reception. Like I say, there's certain brands that are worse than others, but some of the Nissans, a lot of the Mercedeses, you will lose your DAB completely. So you might want to check with your retailer or wherever you buy your camera from to check on the camera's shielding, because a lot of the time it is the camera causing the problem. Especially so if you fit in a rear camera, because a lot of the DAB booster boxes are built just above the rear window, so it's very near it and interferes. If you are fitting a rear camera, please refer to one of my other video guides that I've got live showing you how to fit a rear one and how to route your cable in without damaging anything. So, before we go any further, I just need to point out that by following this video guide, I am held no way responsible or liable for any damage to your vehicle or injury to yourself. With that out of the way, which unfortunately I do have to put in videos nowadays, let's move everything. First up, fuse box, where is it? Well, there's your passenger side dashboard. There's a right-hand drive UK spec vehicle. Okay, so bear that one in mind. Right down under the dashboard, under here, I'm going to have to open the door and show you because it's too dark. So if we come down, sorry about the background noise, I do not decide where I do these installations, unfortunately. 2 clips, one here, pull, take it off. Other one, take it off. Drop down the little fiberboard thing. There's your fuse box, nice and handy. Coming back out to the side, we're going to be pulling this rubber seal away so that we've got some room. There we go. Quite easy to pull off. And we're going to take it all the way up to the top of the window screen. Next up, just open your glove box, and this plastic trim here, that's what happens when you do it one-handed, guys. Use both hands. Basically it pops off. That one came off really quickly. Some plastic lugs. There you go. Take that off, put that safely out of the way, don't let it fall on the floor like I've just shown you what to do there. Move that to one side. Next up, try and release this piece. There we go. I cheated there, I actually popped that before recording again so I could use both hands. So another piece out of the way, enabling you to get to a couple of dashboard mounting bolts. They're 10mm bolts and they're ideal for the earth connection. Next up, we're going to prepare our power cable. Okay, so there's the end of it. That's going to sit at the top of your window screen, just to the left hand side of your mirror. You need to ideally keep it out of the wiper sweep area, because in England it's actually illegal to have something in the wiper sweep area and will fail an MOT. So do your best to keep it as high up and out of the way as possible. There's your ferrous filter. Like I say, it's shut like so. Little clips, just pop it open, and basically, I can't do this one-handed either, but basically you put it through it, wrap it round it, and then back out again, as if by magic, like so. Like I say, through it, round it, and then back out the other way. Doesn't matter which end you put it on. If you put it on the other end near the fuse box, you'll still get interference if your car's deemed that way, I'm afraid. It really doesn't matter, it makes no odds. I've put them all over the place and tried different filters. So if you've got DAB and you're getting interference, go back to see your retailer, see if they've got any sort of different cameras. But there we go. So, cable ties. What I use these for is to beef the cable up. Now obviously this is going to be tucked on your headlining above your window screen. If you hit one of the big potholes, there's a possibility your cable will basically fall down in front of you. Well, in front of your passenger's view whilst driving along. Not ideal. So all we do, we use this to beef up the cable, make it thicker, so that it's got something to hold on to behind the headlining. We wrap the cable tie around it, snip the end off, cover it in electrical tape. Now you don't have to do any of this, it's just something I've done. I've done hundreds of camera installs, and this is an ideal thing. The reason for wrapping it in tape, by the way, is that sometimes when you snip a cable tie, look, they're sharp on the edge. Now, obviously, if the cable tie is sitting flush up to your headline, and your headline is made like a card, like a fibre substance, I suppose it could wear away at it on the inside and make a mess because it's sharp. So just padding it out so it's not sharp should alleviate that problem. Okay, so do all three, cover them all in tape before you mount your cable. So up at the top of your window screen, your headlining, get your middle cable tie that you've wrapped tape round. Gently with your fingers, pull the fibre headlining down. Now don't go at this like a bull in a china shop, because they're not the strongest things in the world. They'll flex a bit, but you don't want it creasing, you need it to look factory fitted. And just work your way along, tucking the cable tie bits up and under with your fingers, like so. Like I say, there's your mirror look. So we're at the side of the mirror right here, so we want it sort of that height. So do all three, like so, until you get to the trim pillar on the end here. Worth a quick mention at this point, I mean, we've moved it away here, we've tucked it in the top corner. Now, on a lot of models, you've got an airbag curtain which finishes here and goes up. So if you just pull this away, there, look, see? And it stops there. So there's the pull cord for it, okay? Now, a lot of people worry about airbags and putting a wire next to it. Well, I've test deployed a lot of airbags over the years, and I assure you if one deploys, it will quickly move a bit of wire out of the way. In fact, it moves this entire plastic trim structure out of the way, so it's not really a problem. If you're worried about it, yes, by all means, tuck the cable behind the airbag and just go down the side. Not an issue, very simple to do. Obviously don't pull the tether because you'll set the warning light on your dashboard off. And don't do anything stupid and deploy it, because if your hand's nearby it will break your hand. It's as simple as that. Don't get me wrong, I mean, you can bash all around them, it won't go off. You know, you can faff around with them, look at the back, it's not gonna go off. You'd have to really go at it to make it release. But if you want to tuck it behind it, yeah, it's easy enough. You just put your finger behind it, shove the wire behind it. Or you can go down below it where the strap is, because there's like a black strap here and then the airbag from here, and run your cable down the edge. That's totally your preference. Like I say, it's not going to, flimsy bit of wire is not going to get in the way and stop the airbag from deploying, because the airbag's sort of up here, okay? And they go off with a lot of force. So, continue running your cable down the edge, all the way down the trim until you get to the end of the dashboard here where we pulled the side trim off. So you're now free to remove one of the 10mm bolts as an earthing point. Either will do just fine, so it's up to you whichever one you want to take out. Don't worry, your dashboard won't move anywhere. There's a lot of stuff holding it in place. It's not going to move a tiny bit, so you can go ahead and completely remove the bolt. So here's the bolt removed. There's my earth cable to the fitting kit. Washer behind it there just to spread the load when it goes back in again. Nice and simple sandwich. The eagle-eyed among you will notice that I have a second earth cable coming off here. Yes, this is because I'm fitting something else to this vehicle, but with time constraints I only have time to show you how to fit the front camera, so please ignore the spur coming off there, it's not needed. You'll have one black wire coming to your earthing bolt. Pop your earthing bolt back in, tighten it all the way up, and then we'll move on to power. So looking a bit more closely at the fuse box of this vehicle, like I say, it is a 2018 model, so it's brand new. This one's running the microblade fuses, which is this size, and there's mini blade, which the older ones use, okay? So we're going to be using microblade. You can order these fuse spurs separately, again on eBay. They're about £1 for a pack of 3. Amazon also, I believe, sell them, so have a bit of a Google around, you'll soon find them. They're called fuse spurs, okay? Now what we're going to do is, with the ignition off, we are going to use our test meter or test probe screwdriver, whichever you have. You're going to have to earth out the earth point, yeah, to somewhere like that. And with the ignition off, we're looking for an accessory circuit. Now every car will vary depending where it's built and what spec it is, so you are going to have to test your own fuses. On this particular one, if we go along, setting fuse up, 10 amp, touch the end of it, there you go, see that? 0 volts. With the ignition on, that changes to 12 volts, so that is an ignition switch supply on an accessory circuit. Don't use anything for airbags or ABS or ECU or anything like that. It must be an accessory circuit. There's not much point, unfortunately, in sending me a message asking me which fuse to use, because, like I say, fuse box specs and layouts can vary depending on where the car's built, shipped, and what spec it's got. You are going to have to test them like I've just done. With the ignition on, that will light up as 12 volts. So, ignition on. With earthed our screwdriver, our test probe out, and we'll go down here. Touch it again and get a contact. Bear with me. Very tricky doing it. There we go. Tricky doing anything one-handed. My connection's not very good. There we go. It's making a liar of me, isn't it? It's this earth. I've wedged it under the rubber, and it's moving a lot as I'm trying to do it, but rest assured that's 12 volts with the ignition on. So we can go ahead and pull that fuse out. There we go, we've pulled the fuse out the fuse box, popped it in the fuse spur, so you got one there to run the camera and that one to run the original circuit. You can then go and replace your fuse in the fuse box, like so, and that's your power and your earth taken care of. Next up, you want to be tidying all this cable up. So back in the car, we've tidied up our cabling, basically cable tied it up and tucked it behind the carpet edge here where it goes under here. So it's nice and neatly out of the way, it's not causing any problem. There's no dangling wires down the side here. It's all nice and tidy. Before you put any of the trim back on, let's go to the camera and test it. So there's the camera. We're on a suction mount because this is smooth glass texture. If this was a painted texture like a lot of cars are, which this Fiesta is not, you would need a 3M sticky pad mount like so. But it's not, so we can just use the sucker. There's your power cable that you've put on. Moment of truth. Switch on the ignition. And there you go. Camera on. Now, turn it off again. Now you know that that's good, you can go ahead and push all your trim back on. Like I say, it's just literally a case of reversal. They've all got clips on that you tap home, so just gently tap them home, shove your rubber back on, and that is it. That is how you fit a front dash cam in a 2018 Ford Fiesta. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. I do my best to answer you as quick as possible, but I do get inundated with questions every day about all sorts of electrical and car related problems, so bear that in mind. For a rear camera guide, I've got a universal guide on the on YouTube, so you can have a look at that to how to put a rear in. Thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye for now.